Okay, let's dive into something really interesting. We're going to explore the whole business case behind a product called the RIOS Sovereign Cloud. Now, this is not just another piece of software. It's a tool that's designed to let entire communities build, own, and operate their very own cloud infrastructure. I mean, think about that. It's like digital independence. So, what's the strategy for an idea that big? Let's get into it.
Your data, your cloud, your community. This isn't just some clever tagline. It's the mission. It is a powerful statement about digital self-reliance. And as you're about to see, this whole idea of taking back control, of actually owning your community's most valuable digital assets, that's the thread that ties this entire strategy together.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the why, the core problem. Then we'll look at the solution itself. We're going to be honest about the hurdles and the plan to get over them, talk about the investment, and then wrap up with the huge advantage this whole model offers. So let's jump in.
Let's start with the why. At its heart, this whole thing is built to solve a major economic problem that, honestly, quietly hits a lot of communities in the digital age. It's kind of like a slow leak, a leak of value just draining away.
And here it is, the core challenge, capital flight. The best way to think about it is like a leaky bucket. Every single month, local businesses, schools, you name it, they pour money into cloud services. But instead of that money circulating right there in the local economy, it flows right out of town, into the pockets of just a few giant tech companies. It's a constant drain, not just of money, but of control over their own digital destiny.
So the proposed fix to reverse this, to plug that leak, is the RIOS Sovereign Cloud Suite. And it's designed to be way more than just software. It's positioned as a perpetual, community-owned asset. So what does this thing actually do? Well, it delivers 4 key services. Think of IaaS as digital real estate, where local businesses can set up shop and run their operations. PaaS is kind of like a local workshop, giving developers the tools they need to build new apps for the community. The secure data vault, well, that's exactly what it sounds like, a digital fortress for your most important info. And finally, backup is your ultimate digital insurance policy. It's the whole toolkit for digital self-sufficiency.
But look, let's be real. Just having a great set of features isn't nearly enough to compete. The analysis is super clear about the challenges ahead. Moving this from just being a cool product into a platform that people actually trust.
And wow, this slide really lays out the biggest weakness in stark terms. Just look at that chart. On one side, you have the giants, the hyperscalers with massive brand trust. And on the other side, RIOS, a new kid on the block starting at absolute zero. This is not just a marketing problem, okay? This is a huge trust deficit. You can't just walk up to a hospital and ask them to move their critical data to a platform they have literally never heard of.
The second major hurdle is all about the user experience. I mean, on the one hand, you've got the current interface. It's this complex web of tools that, frankly, only a certified specialist can navigate. But then on the other hand, you have the person this is all for, a local business owner who just needs things to be simple. The entire goal has to be bridging that gap, because without a simple, friendly portal, the platform is basically useless to the very people it's supposed to empower.
So, how do you fix that? How do you solve for a total lack of trust and an interface that's way too complicated? Well, the strategy lays out a really clear 4-point plan to transform this thing.
And the roadmap to build that trust is actually a pretty smart, logical process. First, you have to fix the usability problem by building that simple command portal. Makes sense. Then, once it's easy to use, you launch a pioneer program to get your first customers and, more importantly, create success stories. That's how you start building social proof. Next, you make it even more valuable with a local app marketplace for one-click solutions. And finally, you build a local partner program, which leverages the trust that already exists between local businesses and their IT providers. See? Each step just builds on the last one.
Okay, so with a clear plan to build that trust, now we can talk about the investment. The price tag is $200,000, which, let's be honest, is a pretty significant number. But the key here is to reframe this. This isn't a cost. It's a strategic investment in a revenue-generating asset for the community.
Now, to understand the price, we first got to look at the cost. And for software, the cost of goods sold isn't about physical parts. Think of it more like making a movie. The real cost isn't the DVD, it's the millions you spent on writers, actors, and special effects. It's the same idea here. The cost is the massive investment in R&D to build and maintain all of this incredibly complex intellectual property. And that underlying cost is, well, it's substantial. The analysis figures that when you factor in all the development, the licensing, the delivery, the cost for a single license comes out to just over $95,000.
Which brings us to the retail price
of $200,000. So yeah, that's a pretty big markup from the cost. And the natural question is, how in the world is that justified?
And this part is absolutely crucial. The price isn't based on the cost, it is based on the value. First off, it turns a pile of hardware into a revenue-generating business. Second, the perpetual license ends that painful cycle of endless subscription fees. And third, because it's a turnkey solution, it saves the owner a small fortune in consulting fees. Bottom line, the value it creates is designed to far outweigh its price.
So this all boils down to a really fundamental choice for any community. It's that classic economic decision. Do you want to own or do you want to rent?
And the advantages of owning your own cloud are pretty clear and powerful. You stop that capital flight, keeping your community's money in your community. You get incredible speed because the data literally never leaves town. You get way better security because you physically control where your data lives. And maybe best of all, you get support from local partners, your neighbors, who are actually invested in your success.
The alternative, right? The dominant model from the big players. It's fundamentally a recurring rental. You just pay and pay every month, but you never build any equity. Your digital infrastructure is always owned by someone else.
And this slide really nails the fundamental difference. The RIOS model offers a perpetual asset. It's a one-time investment that transforms a community's digital infrastructure into a permanent, sovereign reality that they control.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. It's a question every community leader should probably be asking themselves. Is your IT budget just an expense that leaves town every month, or is it an investment that's actually building your own future?